Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Thanks for joining us today. This is the Unhappy Hour.
The
It's a place.
unhappy hour.
It's not the Unhappy Hour. It's the Agree to Disagree show. I guess it's the Unhappy Hour when you start your program off on the wrong word, the wrong product, I suppose. But
Mercury retrograde, right?
Oh, is that what's going on? I've done I've done thousands of these shows at this point. They're all on YouTube except for the several that they've deleted recently. So find us on Odyssey and YouTube and all the places. But yeah, this is the Agree to Disagree show where we're supposed to be able to talk about anything because I'm an adult and you're an adult. And adults aren't told what they may or may not say, what we may or may not think. That trash is left for banana republics and third world dictatorships and hellhole countries. That's not what this place is. I don't care what's temporarily happening with the crazy people who are doing crazy things. The First Amendment guarantees us the right to have real conversations about real topics. We are protected. We have political speech. We have religious speech. We have any sort of offensive speech we feel like. There is no such thing as hate speech. There is advisable things to say, and then there are risky things to say. There are simplistic ways to converse and just say, how about that weather? Or, you do a deep dive and dig into all of the topics, and that's what we try to do here at the New American Media is dig in to some of the underreported stories, the misreported stories, and really try to provide some countervailing views to propaganda, lies, and complete debauchery that's coming from nefarious sources. So thank you for finding us. If you haven't found this guy yet, please follow him. His name is Blake Walley. He is at TV's Blake Walley on X, and he puts his archives at thenextlevelnews.com. Blake, thanks for joining us today. How are things?
Great, Brian. It's wonderful to be here, covering the crazy news.
It is.
And hello, everybody in chat. Hello, Deb, with your person turquoise waving and your face screen smiling.
So does she type all of that
show
stuff?
The emojis.
Does she type all that stuff, or does that get transcribed as like turquoise waving?
Right. Well, if you're putting it in a research, have the code, puts out the description, but we get it. Thank you so much. We have a great audience. They're already here. Hello.
That's a person. That's a person in turquoise waving. That's the best I could do on 6 seconds heads up. How about that? So thanks for joining us, of course, everybody in the chat room. We're going to cover some interesting stories today. Let me buzz through what we have. Judge Merchan should be recused for gagging Trump, yes or no? What say you? We're going to ask about Israel. Are they our greatest ally or our greatest enemy? We're going to talk about Speaker Mike Johnson. Is he blackmailed? Blackmailed by Congress? I don't know if he's blackmailed by Congress, but maybe, he sure is acting like the other team, but, that's what they all do. Except Trump. It's like that's the breath of fresh air that he brings because he's not a part of their thing. So we'll talk about Mike Johnson and how terrible he is. We're also going to talk about what is going on with the Ashley Biden diary. What is alleged in the diary? Why is the diary damning to the Biden administration? Why is it damning to Hunter Biden and trying to figure out how they were raised and where they came from? Birds of a feather flock together. Who is Joe Biden, a kindly old man or super creep number one? We will talk about it. I'm really happy that's in the news again because I don't like anything about this Biden feller. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but I don't think he's been doing much of a good job for America. We'll talk about that.
Okay, yeah, let's get to that.
Also, we're going to talk about the National Guardsmen. So these are the people helping our country, right? Or are they people committing treason at the border? Are they smuggling migrants? And back to that Biden administration. Did they ever intend to refill the strategic oil reserves that they emptied? All right, so we'll talk about it and more on today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe in all of the places, and we will kick today's program off right about now. All right, Blake. Judge Merchant should be recused for gagging Trump. What say you? Agree or disagree that Judge Merchant should be recused for gagging Trump?
Absolutely. Here's another one of these big lawfare cases going against Trump. And now we've had some new evidence on this one as well that makes it look like this is a deliberate attempt by leftist activist legal people, including the judge and his daughter, and apparently even his wife. And now it has all been revealed that they are all kind of, yes, Democratic activists. This is clearly a smear campaign. And now they're trying to gag Trump from talking about what those revelations are.
It's a family affair. It's a family affair. The Judge Merchant family hates Trump, and they make money off of hating Trump, and it's all kangaroo court.
Yeah, pretty much. So far, but will he be allowed to say that? Because he wasn't allowed to present, evidence in some of these cases.
Then those aren't cases. Then they aren't cases. If you cannot present the defense, they didn't happen and they get thrown out. This is the stupidest era of American history by far. We might have been worse in different generations, but this is the absolute stupidest decade to be alive. The past 10, 20 years with this Obama-Biden stuff has been so stupid. It's just where we are.
Right. Yeah, the leftists are making a mockery of our democracy. And here we go. Judge Merchant. Yes, and it's election interference, and it's lawfare, and they're trying to take down their biggest opponent, and they're even like breaking the rules and just making up new ones. So you can't even get a fair trial. It's nothing about that. It's just about trying to get him guilty of something so that they can ruin his chances for re-election. They couldn't impeach him, couldn't hit him with the insurrection. Now they're just trying to, throw spaghetti at the wall, hope something sticks. But in each of these cases, it seems to be, disintegrating in front of our eyes. So here we go. Judge Merchant, who silenced President Trump from talking about his shady financial ties, the hush money case, rejects his presidential immunity delay effort for upcoming trial. So he silenced President Trump from talking about his family's financial ties to the current hush money case he is presiding over against Trump in New York City, shut down his bid to use presidential immunity as part of that defense. It's amazing. Yes, the 45th president, the attacks on somebody who is just serving his country.
And this is the number one elected official in the world, in the United States, as in the role of president. Your job as president and commander of the military is to make sure that your elections are safe and secure and they're free from foreign influence. Your job is to question how in the world, when I was up hundreds of thousands of votes in all of these places, how did 6 states, who gave the order to stop counting? That's the question that has been asked. You've seen it on Twitter 1,000 times every single day. Today's Thursday, April 4th, 2024. Reminder, who gave the order to stop counting ballots on election night? Something this is not something that's a standard occurrence. It's his job to question election integrity when all sorts of weird things occur. When it doesn't pass the Joe Biden sniff test, that one of the least popular political figures we've ever seen somehow rises to power and wrestles the country away. 81 million totally legitimate votes. His job requires that he questions the integrity of the election. So this whole thing is just beyond comprehension to me. By the way, you need to go to cisa.gov/rumor control because they will tell you out of the history of elections, 2020 was the only safe and secure. What is it? They use two phrases: safe and secure, free and fair. They love their alliterations. Safe and secure, free and fair. 2020 was the only time that happened, because if you look to previous times when Republicans were elected, Democrats have questioned all of the elections all of the time. It feels like. So go to cisa.gov/rumor control, and there's a ticker at the bottom of the screen. When we say things that are wrong speak, according to the powers that be, they just try to silence us. That's what this is all about. It's about censorship. It's about bully tactics. It's about domination, fear, control. And they have picked a fight with people that we didn't ask for. But if you're going to come at me, here we are. And we're going to talk about this stuff, and we're going to talk about it louder. We're not going to cower. We're going to speak louder, because the next step is the gulag and the firing squad. The next step is being rounded up by brown shirts. The next step is concentration camps. Like, if you don't have First Amendment allowable protected speech, you have nothing. And by the way, the president has the complete authority to try to figure out, we're 15,000 sketchy votes away. You've got a list of hundreds of thousands of them. Find me the votes. You're claiming all of these are fraudulent. So let's go. That was the ask from the president, who was overseeing the entire election. This is nothing ridiculous like the lying legacy media wants you to think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was interesting to see that revelation come out of Georgia the other day. As what was it? Let me pull this one up here again. 2020, Georgia ran an illegal election. That's from Kyle Becker. And Brian, you and I have tweeted this out. Missing chain of custody docs, missing surveillance tapes of drop boxes, signature verification errors, dirty voter rolls, invalid votes, double scanned ballots, Fulton County ballots scanned without election observers.
See, that stuff right there. If anything was scanned without an observer, you've tainted the whole batch. You've dropped poison into the mix. You can't just bake the batch of cakes and go, well, it's just a little bit of poison. Like, when you're doing things that aren't passing signature verification, you've tainted the whole batch of votes. If you can quarantine, oh, no, they're all in this box. We can just remove this whole box. Well, then none of those count. Oh, well, they didn't have oversight, and you didn't have a Republican and a Democrat watching that process. Okay, well, quarantine all of those. None of those count. These are not legitimate ballots by any stretch of the imagination. Either something goes through the checks and balances to determine if it's accurate from a United States citizen, or you don't have a vote. There is no in between here. And for 3 years, people have been saying, hey, this is a system that does not allow us a transparent audit process. This simply must be changed. And that's why we've never had more calls for in-person voting only. Paper ballots that can be held and recounted. You do stacks of 10, a Republican and a Democrat take a look at this. Is this 7-3 on your count? 7-3 on my count? Okay, next, you do 10 at a time. You never go too far, and you're always double checking your work. You can run an election super quick, super easy, super cheap, super accurate, and super verifiable if you wanted to. So if anybody is trying to push things in a way that are obscuring transparency and auditability of an election, these are malevolent people. There's no way around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they don't want it for looks like nefarious reasons. So, and it seemed very sketchy when Biden won Georgia. Really? Oh, Biden got 81 million, like a record voting. Really?
Most popular politician of all time, Blake. Don't you know? He sells out arenas.
Yep.
Tons of Biden merch. Biden merch is everywhere. Biden launches shoe brands. Biden has a social media company. Biden has cool hats. Biden has Bibles. Biden sells. Oh, no, wait. That's Trump, the guy that lost. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So there's a lot of legitimate reasons to question the results. And it looks like maybe the Fulton County, Georgia is falling apart, but now they are pushing this other one, the hush money case. I thought this was like a done deal. This was years ago. It feels like it's old news.
Wasn't this a statute of limitations case? Wasn't it statute of limitations on this one as well?
You would think, and it's like, why are they still running this? But Yeah, they got to find something. They need that one thing. They're trying to get, the 91 counts that he's guilty of, and it's a lot of trumped up BS. So it's just whatever they can find to make it look in the eyes to the low info public that he's some kind of a criminal and they shouldn't vote for him. Well, that's all they got.
Let me jump in there and read this comment real quick because I mentioned treason. Kenneth says, "A sapling is a tree, son." Nice. I mean, I'm going to pause. I'm going to clap. You get the double thumbs up on that one. Well done. Anyway, back to what you were saying, Blake. Yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of this now. It's like endless cases, endless district attorneys. Who gave the order to sick all of the DAs on Joe Biden's political rival at the same time? Who gave that order? Were these all Obama? Was Obama the person doing all of these, flicking the first domino all of these times, the main mastermind behind all of this? Who decided that you should be able to attack your political opponent like it's Bolsonaro down in South America, like this is some banana republic dystopian nightmare of a just a hellscape, a rotting corpse of what used to be the shell of America.
Right. Well, Obama's obviously a big player behind the scenes, but so are the Clintons. So Hillary and that whole campaign and whole Russian collusion BS that they manufactured. Got a FISA warrant, made up stuff with the PP tape and what have you. Infiltrated his campaign. And try to take him down that way. So, but they convinced, almost half the population that Trump was actually, on the payroll of the Kremlin. Pushed a hoax for years. Went on a fishing expedition trying to find something. And they're just doing the same playbook here. They just put him on trial, accuse him of stuff, drum up a bunch of charges, and act like it's legit until it falls apart on its own. So, but here's the latest one. So this is amazing. So this is Jesse Waters here revealing the multi-million-dollar perks going to Judge Merchan's family for taking Trump to court in this bogus hush money case. So let's run a few minutes of this clip here from Jesse Waters.
Trump is banned from talking about the judge's family. Why? Because the judge's family was paid by the Biden campaign. The judge's family is currently being paid by Adam Schiff, over $10 million.
Oh, my
Adam
God.
Schiff.
Yeah. No, it's breathtaking. Well, not that we should be surprised. Adam Schiff is his mortal enemy who's been trying to take him down since the beginning. He's one of the major characters there. As corrupt as he is, even though he's... I forget what did they do to him? Censured, but then he's going to run for Senate seat from Feinstein.
How is he not in jail for treason? He was pushing fake theories to subvert and stage a coup. He planned
right.
It's one thing to run politics and go, I think 17% is the best number for that third bracket tax policy. I disagree, Ken. I think 24% is the real number. Like, that's politics. That's back and forth. I'd like to suggest this program. That program, maybe it should sunset as it was intended. Like, that's just stupid politic talk. But what Schiff has done was staging a coup to remove the sitting president, the duly elected President Donald John Trump, from office. That is not even remotely covered on political speech. This is blatant criminal activity to overthrow the sitting president. This is treason. How is this person allowed to run for another term? How is he not in a jumpsuit? Who the fuck is in charge? Is there a single adult in the room? This guy should have been gone years ago behind bars. And we hear Jimmy Kimmel, we hear all these crocodile tier paid actors going on these rants, the Rob Reiners and putting their hands up, but they're all lying about their shit. They're all misrepresenting and distorting reality to push fake shit. What is obvious is what this Adam Schiff has been up to. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand why he is not in bars, behind bars, in jail, Blake.
Well, it's going to take a while, but yeah, he's been censured. He's been kicked off of the committees, but yes, now he's going to be even more powerful, assuming he could actually win the Senate seat. I don't know. Apparently, I'm hearing Steve Garvey's doing pretty well against him. So hopefully, some Californians will find their sanity. I just don't know. I don't trust that process down there at all. So I'm sure they'll do everything possible to make things go in Adams' favor somehow, some way. But yeah, could you imagine him as senator? But maybe at some point things will catch up to him. And it's sad that he's still there. Yes, he deserves to be punished. Yes, treason, what have you. Yes, and just for taking America on a ride for a few years, spreading all these lies on TV to try to slander the sitting president.
It's not just to slander, it's to remove these people.
Yeah.
These are called coups, C-O-U-P. The P is silent. This is an overthrow of the duly elected president of the United States that Adam Schiff has been up to. This is what Pelosi has been up to. Cheney, Romney, Speaker, go down the list. Most of the people are in this dirty little club. What were you saying, Blake?
Oh, I said Adam Kinzinger.
Oh, Kinzinger.
Crybaby. Yeah. He's real credible.
I mean, you got all these weirdos. And this is, I thought that there was a penalty for treason. I thought that it is a death sentence for staging a coup to overthrow the president of the United States. Well, I don't get why nobody has prosecuted these people.
Well, Biden's right in charge right now, so good luck with that. Who's going to do something about it? I don't know.
Coast Guard?
So we're going to have to wait for this to unfold. It's going to have to wait a longer, unfortunately. But yes, I don't get it either. So he should have been taken out of there by now.
Jesse here.
Okay, let's roll some of
this. This is the guy who conspired with Michael Cohen, the star witness in this case. Trump isn't allowed to say that the judge's daughter is a Democrat consultant whose clients, the Biden campaign, Adam Schiff, are fundraising off Trump's indictment. The judge's family's getting rich off Trump trials.
Yeah, they're putting out these letters and emails to try to ring up money saying, Trump is in trouble in New York and we need money. So they're fundraising off of this staged trial here. It's amazing. It still hasn't gone away.
And he's presiding over one. And if Trump's convicted, his family financially benefits. And instead of recusing because of a glaring conflict of interest, the judge is gagging Trump for pointing out the conflict of interest. Even Michael Avenatti says it's nuts.
Yeah, I know. It's breathtaking. They cannot. This is their idea of what their version of democracy. This is a leftist coup overthrow of our republic. Supposed to get a fair trial. I mean, this is the kind of the third world country, nightmare that we never would have wanted here in America. And it's being, it's
Rick
been
Norman
brought here and they keep setting this precedent. It's very dangerous and people aren't even allowed to, present facts to, present their evidence and their proof of their innocence. It's amazing how they can get away. I don't know. So we'll see if
it's just like I said with the election. If you can't audit, if you haven't verified the validity of the signature verification, the identification check, like none of these things happen. Like those are incomplete. Those are rejected. Like those just have to be rejected. Any case where Trump can't say, I wasn't in this place. She took that script off of a Law and Order episode. That dress didn't exist. She doesn't know what year it was. It's past the statute of limitations.
Right.
What the fuck are we doing here? All of those Trump arguments were shot down by the judge. Well, that's not a trial. That's not a trial when you have no right to defend yourself. That's kangaroo court bullshit, and it simply must get thrown out. It didn't happen. It's not legitimate in any way. I mean, they tried to bankrupt Trump and seize his property after that bullshit that just happened up in New York. You're gagging Trump because he's pointing out this is an enterprise where you're cranking money. You are a money printing machine based on let's go get Trump, completely politically compromised. The eggs are scrambled on ruining me, so you cannot be an impartial judge. Therefore, this isn't even happening. This can't happen. This is completely illegitimate. Where are the adults to step in and stop this? I guess we're down to the Supreme Court, but they're just going to let it play out. What are we waiting for? Why are we going through all of this wasted energy? I'd kind of like to figure out some of the important issues facing the country. But we just, for years, we're distracted with all of this nonsense. This is better than actually fixing problems that are facing the country. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand any of this stuff, Blake.
No, I don't get it either. I'm pretty horrified by the reality we are faced with every day, which is why I continue to force myself to get involved and cover these news stories. I'm trying to make sense of it myself.
Rick
There's
Norman,
no logic, no common sense, no critical thinking skills. It's just people have lost their minds and our civilization is on the verge of collapsing.
Rick Norman adds, he says, the Department of Justice, the Pentagon, and the Supreme Court are all bought off, as is the Speaker of the House. Anybody with power has been compromised. Yeah, that's promising there.
Yeah, I think, we're probably just going to have to get after this election, if there is an election, you're going to have to see maybe a reemergence of the states separating themselves from the Fed or something. Something's got to happen. We can't continue to coexist this way. Just let the blue cities fend for themselves. Let the blue states, red states, because yes, these nation they could all very well be compromised. And if all of those federal agencies, and we're using all our taxpayer money to support that, meanwhile these corrupt politicians are sending all of our money, overseas to fund wars we shouldn't be involved in. It's amazing. While they just lower our standard of living, and now our 100 trillion, adding $1 trillion in debt every 100 days. That's just not sustainable.
15 million unvetted people flooding into our country. Remember, we were so on the brink of mandated. You can't work your job. You can't go on transportation. You can't live in society unless you have this card and take this thing inside of you. Like the ultimate Harvey Weinstein that was shot down, thankfully, by the Supreme Court. But during a time where everybody is allegedly being forced by the Biden-Obama puppet masters that you must comply with this thing or else you don't exist in society. We're going to fire you from your jobs. We're going to kick you out of the military. We're having 15 million people with measles, mumps, rubella, God knows what. No health check on any of these people, let alone no criminal background check. 15 million unvetted people flooding into the country, paid for by Democrats, paid for by blue city mayors, blue city governors, by Biden and Obama's puppet masters. They can do whatever they want, but we can't get on an airplane. They get on an airplane, it's paid for free. They go to a 4-star hotel, paid for free. Blake, we couldn't be living in any more of an upside down situation than we do currently. Everything that makes sense is the opposite right now. It's almost like they're trying to do every single thing at the same exact time. I don't know if it's out of reflex, out of the hubris of thinking they got away with 2020 and they're invincible, or if this really is pointless and we all just are sliding into an Orwellian nightmare escape. I don't know which one it is. But it seems like everything that's happening from the deep state level is the worst decision you've heard of until the next one. Speaking of worst decisions, can we hear what Avenatti has to say? Jesse was saying that even Avenatti agrees that gagging Trump was, I think that's where we left that.
Yeah, pretty much.
The lawyer tweeting this from prison. We can't be hypocrites when it comes to the First Amendment. It's outrageous that Cohen and Daniels can do countless TV interviews, post on social, and make money on bogus documentaries, all by talking ish about Trump. But he's gagged and threatened with jail if he responds?
Yeah, and it's our president for 4 years, and he's being gagged and threatened with jail for being allowed to present his own evidence. So yes, the leftists have gone full authoritarian. This is outrageous in America. Even Michael Avenatti, corrupt, sleazy lawyer, Michael Avenatti is even saying this is too much. So good for him.
The judge is threatening to put Trump in jail.
Well, no, I mean, he's making, he's still a legal guy, and he still gets that this, everybody's got a right to defend themselves. But in this case, we're only allowed to hear one side of the story, and it's being shown that there is a massive conflict of interest with the judge, his wife, and the daughter, all taking money, raising money, and financially benefiting by taking down Trump and then gagging him from being able to present his own evidence, or Trump for pointing this out.
For pointing out that his liberal family's getting rich off this trial, and richer if he's convicted. Now, the media, who doesn't support the First Amendment or care about corruption, covers it this way.
The judge overseeing Donald Trump's hush money trial just expanded a gag order forbidding the defendant and former president from attacking his own family.
He doesn't just
attacking his family. Nice spin. And Nicole Wallace is like, gotta be CIA. But let's hear.
Take his right to due process. He smears the judge. He harasses the judge's daughter.
Harasses the judge's daughter. No mention of the fact that they're making big money off of this.
And Trump, our former chief executive, is using the bully pulpit that comes with being a former president.
Who is
to
that
put
weirdo?
People in.
Never seen him before. Norm Eisen, former House Judiciary Special Counsel.
Yeah, I heard him before I saw him. What a weirdo.
Weirdo weasel.
Grave danger. Quite apart from his attacks on the judge's daughter, which are totally uncalled for.
Oh my God.
The judge's daughter isn't 7.
And
She's
by the way,
34.
that guy, I'm multitasking and listening to that guy talk. It sounded like the audio had been slowed down. Like, remember when people would slow down Nancy Pelosi's words a little bit, or Trump's a little bit, and they sound super drunk? That's what Lego hair sounded like right there. It sounded like they had slowed down normal talk. But what an interesting head of Lego hair, by the way. I digress.
Okay.
So he's not attacking her. He's just saying what she does for a living. How's that an attack? He just wants a new judge, one whose family isn't funded by Democrats. Ned Ryan is the founder.
Anyway, we'll cut it there.
All right.
We'll run this one. There's another great. This goes into even more detail, but we won't run this on Epic Times. Great little investigative program, and just also, yes, pointing out all the new developments in the ongoing legal battle with Trump in the so-called, the Stormy Daniels hush money case just won't go away. But they've got to dig at something, I guess. But yes, now it's been completely exposed as a massive conflict of interest. The judge and his whole family are involved in this. And so he must recuse himself. But you won't see the Democrats get involved in that. They'll just say, oh, Trump's attacking the judge and his daughter. He's so terrible. This is why he's got to go to jail. It's amazing. But we don't care about the facts. You can hate Trump all you want, but I mean, good God, this is an attack on America. This is an attack on the justice system, the legal system. It's making a mockery of our system. Yes, it's bad. It sets a dangerous precedent, and we will just be a banana republic if this trend continues. So we'll see how this goes, or maybe the Supreme Court will jump in, get rid of this Otherwise, yeah, this is going to have bad consequences for everybody at some point.
I just can't believe we're still doing this. I just don't get.
I don't get it either, Brian. Well, hopefully we'll get the eclipse next week, and CERN will open a new portal. We'll jump into a parallel world. We'll get out of this this ugly dystopian dimension that we've been suffering through since COVID, and we'll get out of this mess one way or another. But I doubt it. So it seems that whatever they're doing is pretty nefarious. With CERN opening up portals, and who knows what they're doing with the super collider, and they're firing rockets, and the Vatican's involved. Oh, there's a bunch of weird stuff.
What was the name of that movie? It wasn't. Was it called? It wasn't Super Troopers. What was the name of that campy movie with the bugs, and the military had to go fight off the giant bugs?
Oh, Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. Yeah. Is that what's gonna enter our universe when they run CERN, pass us into some parallel dimension? Now we got like giant cockroaches, or is it just you take the skin suits off of the giant cockroaches in Washington, and you finally get to run your own country now?
Well, that was at least it was a world united against an alien invasion, where it was an attack by the bug planet. They fired like a meteor or an asteroid at the Earth, but it seemed like at least the Earth was still there. We were going into this sci-fi future, and yes, it seemed to be more of a positive thing until the aliens attacked, and then we had to go to their planet and kick their ass and teach them lessons in humanity. But that was that was a more united world.
Well, we'll see what CERN opens up and changes this world into when the eclipse happens. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much talk about it. Are you planning on doing anything for the eclipse, Blake?
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. Is this going to be our last show until then, right? Our next show is probably the 9th on Tuesday.
If the world exists on Tuesday.
Exactly. So we'll be able to cover the aftermath, if any. So we'll see. I'm kind of looking forward to it, just to see if there's really going to be anything major happening. But there's a lot of dark energy going on, and some shady people doing shady things.
Talking about dark people and shady energy, or shady people and whatever we're saying, energy and people. Do we have anything else on this topic before we bounce to the next?
Nope. Let's roll.
Okay. Let's go to the oil reserve, since it's in the headline of today's program. Let's do that one next. So many stories and so many segues. We could have taken that alien invasion to talk about the National Guardsmen being recruited to smuggle migrants. I mean, that would be good there, but let's go to Biden administration never intended to refill the oil reserves, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that there was never an intent to, fix what you did?
Yeah.
Let's
Oops, I don't even see the caption up there. Do we have it on there?
Oh, I clicked it, but let's try it again.
Maybe I'm not. Biden administration
never intended to refill the oil reserves.
Yeah, that is what I am going with. Absolutely agree. I would have probably said that. I don't know. I'd have to go dig back to what when we first covered that story. But I would say, I would never have had any faith that, don't worry, they're going to do this. It's just temporary. They just want to kind of ease the gas prices for a while, and then they're going to fill them up when it goes down. No, they never had any intention to do that. So
who was that that said, Blake? Someone said there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
Yeah, what was that? Is it Murray Rothbard? Or I forget exactly.
Maybe Reagan. We've all said a version of it. But my God, like the toll roads and stuff across the states. Oh, no, it's just a temporary toll road until we pay for the... Nope, it never leaves. Never leaves.
Nope. And so here we go. They've been draining the strategic petroleum reserves to its lowest level in 40 years. And now Biden cancels the plan to refill it because, hey, it's way too expensive.
You mean the
Hey, we're the
administration
United
that
States.
doesn't care about budgets anywhere at any time? He cares about spending money in this one area, the only place he should be spending money. Talk about
us and our
middle
infrastructure. It's America last. But if it was stocking up, Ukraine's energy reserves, if they needed the petroleum, I'm sure we'd hand it over to. We'd have a bill passed immediately. Another $40 billion or whatever it is. And then they'd probably shove another 60 billion of pork into it. Because that's just what they do.
Well, they'd hide Israel behind it. They'd carabiner those two issues together so you can't unscramble those eggs. That's what they would do. That's what Speaker Johnson did.
Right.
These people.
Right. So here we go. Biden regime canceled its plans to refill the petroleum reserve because oil is way too expensive. Comes as gas prices are once again skyrocketing. Remember, he drained it to its lowest level in 40 years. And he sold much of it to Europe, India, and China. This is amazing. It doesn't even really help us that much. So they claimed he would be refilling the oil reserve at $70 a barrel to make money. That was a year and a half ago. And by selling from the oil reserve at a higher price and then refilling it in the future at a lower price, we'll actually make money. But a few years ago, the Democrats blocked Trump from filling the strategic oil reserves at $24 per barrel. Democrats cost the U.S. billions in potential profits. So, and we've got to add to the scandal. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm secretly consulted with what is communist Chinese energy officials before Joe Biden released barrels of oil from the reserve in 2021. Closed-door meetings to raise serious questions about the level of Chinese influence on the Biden administration's energy agenda. So, what else is there? Biden crime families also received $31 million from companies tied to the CCP. The only explanation for the Biden regime's treasonous actions is that they are intentionally trying to harm the United States, according to Tucker Carlson. Yeah, but of course they've dismissed Tony Bobolinsky blowing the whistle on the Biden crime family and the fact that they are compromised.
Intentionally trying to harm the United States, Blake. There's no other way to look at it. Our domestic supplies of weapons are low. They've all been sent to Ukraine. They flooded 15 million military-aged men into this country. I mean, if it isn't obvious from what happened in 2020, this nation has been overthrown. That's why our logo is an upside-down American flag. We're a nation in distress. To an observer, just simply watching this stuff unfold, what do you think the next step is going to be? If you don't think they're planning an attack between now and November 3rd, is that always the date, or is it like
just whatever Tuesday it is?
Monday, as long as the equinox and something.
Right. It'll be another international transgender something day that they'll have. But no, I don't know exactly what date it is, but it's coming up. I don't know, is it the first Tuesday in November? I'm not exactly sure how that works, but
I mean, there are Chinese spy balloons flying over important infrastructure, mapping this country out, doing God knows what. Millions of God knows who inside. We don't have bullets here. All of that military equipment we could have brought back to our Air Force bases and our military installations across the United States. No. We gave that to the Taliban. When it comes time to fill up the boats, fill up the tankers, the vessels, the trucks, the MRAPs, there's nothing left. It's bone dry, Blake. It's the lowest levels, at least since in 40 years. If this isn't, give me another word that's more accurate than intentional. I couldn't think of anything more accurate.
Right. Yeah, but it's as if our administration is compromised at the highest levels, and they are bringing America down. They're going to weaken us and absorb us into the global collective. We're going to just be run under the World Economic Forum, United Nations. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, or the 10 districts, and then we'll eventually, a few decades from now, be in the Hunger Games.
Yeah, I forget what FEMA region I'm in now. I used to be in FEMA region 9.
Yep.
I don't know. What are we in, 4 now or something? I forget. So is this a new interaction between Peter Doocy and the press relations clown?
Right. Yeah, pretty much. So suddenly, right.
Every time I see her.
Yeah, it might as well be. That should be like her entrance music, right?
She should roll in on a unicycle from now on.
There you go.
Someone ought to teach her to juggle.
That would be accurate. That's what it deserves, right? Might as well be. But yeah, this is not funny, unfortunately, the destruction of our country. Our once beloved republic has been completely taken over from within, and it could be controlled by outside sources, but we'll see. But for right now, on this particular subject, we've got this report, of course, not refilling the petroleum reserves, which they've depleted in an attempt to make it look like gas prices were coming down. So now let's take a look at this.
Today, I'm announcing a plan to refill the Strategic Petroleum Oil Reserve.
Let's roll this again. It's
today, I'm announcing
when it first all went down.
Today, I'm announcing a plan to refill the Strategic Petroleum Oil Reserve in the years ahead at a profit for taxpayers.
Profit for taxpayers, Brian. It was a genius move. It's going to lower gas prices. We're going to save a bunch of money.
The United States government is going to purchase oil to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Today,
Okay, well, apparently that did not go so well. Brian, are you surprised?
I called it as soon as it happened. It's all bullshit. It's kicking the can down the road. It's trading sovereignty and strength for temporary political gain. I mean, you're selling your credibility forever. We knew this was a lie from the beginning. And we're supposed to make sure that our nation has a barrel behind every blade of grass, that we are strong, that we are mobilized, that we are prepared, and that we're ready to face down whatever may occur. This guy, I've never seen somebody more anti-American. And I still think this is Barack Hussein Obama controlling the puppet strings behind the scenes.
Of course, yeah.
Him, it's not just him. It's him and his puppet masters, his team of anti-American globalist deep state traitors that want to reshape the image of a good country into trash. So I've never seen anything like this. I thought Obama was bad, but this is now Obama acting like he's always wanted to act. No, I'm not talking about a kayak trip and a chef. Or am I? Anyway, what do we got here?
You're right. Things that he couldn't get away with under his term because he didn't want to be the fall guy. He didn't want to be the face of it. But now he can nobody cares about old Joe. They can let him go down and they can just flush him away and he takes all the blame. So yeah, it's easy to maneuver now with Biden or with Obama behind the scenes pulling the strings. But let's check out Kareem Jean-Pierre as she gets called out about this subject by Peter Doocy.
Goodness.
Thank you. First, so you guys started draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try and help with the Putin price hike a few years ago.
Putin price hike.
Putin price hike.
Putin price hike. What an idiot! Not Doocy. It's these Obama people, these Biden people.
Right.
Putin
well, nothing
price
could have.
hike.
Right.
Yeah. Like when you blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. You mean like when you overthrew Ukraine to take over Burisma? Oh, you mean your fucking price hike? You assholes.
Yep.
God.
It's amazing.
Okay.
To refill it, but now it doesn't seem like that's happening. Why?
Well, I believe the Department of Energy is responsible for that particular component.
Oh, they're not responsible
yeah.
now.
No,
They're not responsible now. Hold on. Didn't they have a big fancy press conference? That was like the last time you've ever seen Biden give a press conference. He never gives press conferences. And he stumbled through it, which is obviously why they don't put him in press conference situations anymore. They're more than willing to take credit for whatever that lie was. But now they're not responsible. It's the Department of Energy. Is she out of her mind, Blake?
Well, she's got to switch the subject because it couldn't possibly be Biden. They've got to blame somebody else and then say they don't know so that they can just dodge the question, which is what she's doing.
Refilling that, so I would refer you to the Department of Energy.
Refer to the Department of Energy because she can't answer.
I know there were certain components to that and how they were going to move forward in refilling it. They would have more specifics on that for you.
Okay. Well, that's not acceptable. But yeah, Brian, you were just mentioning, yes, everything's very scripted with Biden here. And you had that former ESPN host revealing that every single question in her interview with Biden from a few years ago was entirely scripted. No surprise there. You're not allowed to do real journalism anymore and ask original questions or do any kind of pushback. It's like, but it's a big deal, I guess, to be putting. Hey, do you want to interview Biden? Like, cool. Oh, but here you got to follow the script exactly. Do not go say one word that's not on here. Do not challenge him, and then they rehearse it several times just to show you what the media is really like.
No surprise there. No surprise. This is the most astroturfed campaign, the most astroturfed administration, the most astroturfed foreign policy, the most astroturfed administration I have ever seen. I know Pelosi loved using that phrase. This is astroturfed, talking about the Tea Party. I mean, people that are just looking at the debt climbing up, going, what in the world is happening? Can somebody please stop this? The house is flooding. Can someone please turn the water off? Just a bunch of amateur plumbers going, my ankles weren't wet yesterday. I feel like something's wrong. Oh, but that's astroturf to announce and say, I don't like where we're going. We're in trouble. I'd like to stop because this is dangerous. That's astroturf, but not this administration. Everything about these guys, this Obama, it's all contrived. It's all, I mean, how many stories have we talked about? We gloss over it. We don't live in the wacky realm of conversation too very often, although I love that stuff. I'm born and raised on Unsolved Mysteries and Coast to Coast AM, so like anything wonky, I want to like dig into it. But how many times have we talked about Biden wearing skin suits or a Biden impersonator with the mask on? And you see the zoom in, those are different earlobes, and look at the eyes, and the smile's different. Now he's like a skeleton. Chomp, 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 chomp. I mean, everything about this administration feels fake. They're not even at the White House. That's a set of the White House. They're not getting nothing about this has felt real since 2020, since the elections went down. All of it seemed like a really bad Hollywood script.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. But still, we have so many people that are continuing to go along with it. Or we've left the theater, we're trying to, but there's still so many people that are just, they find it compelling and they actually believe it. It's a terrible movie. I want it to end. But I'm trying to walk out of the theater, but I can't.
You know what movie you're seeing? You can't leave it. You know what it is?
What is it?
It's a movie I actually saw in a movie theater with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day.
Really?
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic, and so am I. Yes, Groundhog Day. Or no, I'm actually conflating. I'm confusing Groundhog Day and oh god, that was his other movie. I'm gonna look that one up. I forget, but I'm conflating those. Anyway, you'd be in a movie that you can't leave. That is Groundhog Day, and that's what I'm trying to say. They're both Bill Murray. Okay, let's move on with this nonsense here about the Biden administration never intending to refill the strategic. Beware, everybody. Keep some extra gas at home. Get some extra supplies at home. But I want to talk about this as well in the Biden administration and the southern border. Are the people who are supposed to be doing their job actually doing their job or doing the opposite? All right, so it's super glitchy on my side. I assume you saw a stinger on that, but Blake, agree or disagree that the National Guardsmen are recruited to smuggle migrants? Is this happening? Are National Guardsmen smuggling migrants, or at least being recruited to smuggle migrants? Illegal aliens. They don't call them migrants. If you're a migrant, you go to the port of entry. If you're an illegal alien invader, you sneak in. So like, let's just use clear language here. I got no problem with the word migrant. If you're migrating through a channel, through the front door, climbing through the window, we got an issue. So anyway, Blake, what say you on this one? What's happening with the National Guard?
Well, I don't want to condemn the National Guard, of course. They're supposed to be our heroes. They're protecting us. I'm sure they're 99% good people. But, yeah, it was interesting that they caught one of them, allegedly smuggling a migrant. So I've got to figure this is probably not the only case, that there's probably some of them that are being incentivized. I mean, this could be one rogue individual. I really don't know. But shocking that they actually pulled over a National Guards member, arrested for smuggling an illegal immigrant across a border.
I'd like to hear some details on this. I'd like to kind of, was he paid? Was it someone he knew? Did they meet out at a bar and then he drove with her?
Yeah. Exactly. Or is there a rogue government program, like they're smuggling all these legal aliens in, in these red-eye flights across the country, but people aren't talking about it. So they could potentially, I don't know if they're paying those people up, but they obviously can't talk about it. So it's all, national secrecy, hush, hush. So I wonder if they're bribing guardsmen, or maybe hopefully this is just one isolated case, but it's amazing. It's interesting to see. So a member of the Texas National Guard was arrested after he was caught on video smuggling an illegal immigrant across the southern border in his government-issued vehicle. So in the video, Specialist Savion Johnson, who was deployed in Eagle Pass, was seen leading Texas Department of Public Safety authorities on a high-speed chase after authorities were alerted by Johnson's suspicious actions near a Border Patrol checkpoint. He has since been charged with smuggling an illegal person, evading arrest, and unlawful carry of a weapon. And Governor Greg Abbott's spokesperson claimed that if the allegations against Johnson are true, then he's a traitor and a criminal. Absolutely. He claims they reportedly accepted $6,000 to smuggle the illegal alien. So it's, again, who knows? Maybe he's got a cousin in the cartel. I don't know all of the information yet, but it's a pretty shocking story.
Out this way. Come on. Turn around. Don't mind your back. Why are you running, dude? I got very, very scared. Oh, what? You don't see fucking red lights?
I know, I'm just very scared.
He's a driver. Get him.
Where's the body?
Driving through red lights because he's scared. He's running away from authorities, going through red lights.
Yeah, because that's what you do when you're trying to get away and go somewhere. You want to call as much attention to yourself as possible. Right. You run red lights if you're trying to attract attention and get someone to pull out a cop car and chase you. That's the only time you actually run a red light. If you want it's like someone has carjacked me. I need to alert people that I'm in trouble. Is it possible this guy was kidnapped and he was? You don't run red lights unless you're trying to be caught, unless you're trying to get attention.
Yeah, exactly. So he knew what. Yes, he had been compromised and tried to get away, and it obviously did not work. See, they're digging through all of his stuff now, probably trying to figuring out that he's a guardsman.
Do they have the moment that they figure that out? Do they have that on tape?
I haven't seen.
Are you kidding me, bro? You're National Guard. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You would think something like that. So
yeah, this reminds me of something. Let me toss this in. This is a great segue opportunity here. I went to high school with a gentleman. I'll introduce him coming up. I won't do it right now, but he is planning on doing a Tour de Patriot instead of a Tour de France, a Tour de Patriot, traveling by bicycle in, what do you say, October, November, or September, October, coming up to all of the 13 colonies. And he's going to be stopping at taverns along the way to kind of like motivate the country and like give us something to do and something to look forward to and like remembering who we are. But he served in the military in the American Southwest, I believe, on an Indian reservation and what do they call them now? Indigenous reservation.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. And spare me this First Peoples stuff. Who knows who was the first people to do anything? But yeah, my understanding is that he worked on some of these reservations in the Southwest. So he has a lot of insight on this particular subject. And I know we were talking earlier this week about doing a reoccurring segment where he would join us, but I would love to get his take on stories like this, because you have to imagine he had seen so much cartel stuff and so much bribery and blackmail and shenanigans. But yeah, this question here, this happened where? This was Texas. So yeah, I got lots of questions about this National Guard member participating in illegal criminal, I don't know, what do you call it? Smuggling,
yeah.
Human trafficking.
Yep.
Not good. You know, what do you do? Who will police the police if the police aren't doing their job? I don't know. Coast Guard. So what do you do when the people that are supposed to be your line of defense are actually playing for the other team?
Well, hopefully this is an isolated case, because that would be pretty horrifying if there were multiple people getting paid under the table by, say, elements of the Biden administration to smuggle in illegal aliens, because Texas has, amped up their efforts to stop, and the Supreme Court has backed them up on this. So we're getting an illegal invasion, and these people should be arrested.
Agreed.
Coming into the country illegally.
Agreed. Anything else to add on this particular story?
Not yet, until we get a development. So
yeah, I would love to get some follow-ups on this. Is this a part of a larger, this is where the investigation, I mean, who's investigating? Who would want to investigate? They're on millions of people smuggled in. Why are we getting hung up on one? I mean, this is their plan. This is not accidental. Anyway, speaking of the plan, let's pivot to, I just want to highlight this. Let me pull this up from the Telegram feed here. This is about what the plan really is. Oh, geez. I had the article. Now I lost it. Or was it on X? There we go. It's on X. It was Elon Musk. This is a Rolling Stone article, if we're going to be talking about what's going on at the border and what is the plan and who are committing crimes and who is not. Let's pull this up here. This is a Rolling Stone article. It says Elon Musk dubbed an X post, quote, extremely concerning after it alleged large numbers of voters were registering to vote in the United States without IDs. But officials were quick to call him out for spreading misinformation. So, Blake, there are a lot of accusations right now, and I put this out on our Telegram feed. You can find us at TNAM and TNAM chat. But some of these reports say that there's skyrocketing numbers of voter identification lacking. Let me rephrase that. There's a large number of skyrocketing voters who are registering without photo ID in 3 key states: Arizona, Texas, and Pennsylvania. According to this article, it says, according to the start of 2024, 1.25 million have registered to vote in Texas, 580,000 Pennsylvania, 220,000 in Arizona. So this agency, HAVV, allows voters to register with a social security number just using the last 4 digits. Illegals are not able to get licenses there, but they can get social security cards for work authorization permits. Publicly available data at ssa.gov. So this is kind of what they're talking about on the Rolling Stone article. And there's a little bit of debate as to whether or not this is or is not happening, Blake. But if the plan is to get people signed up to vote without actually being a citizen of the country, how concerned should we be that it's even remotely possible that this could be happening? And what in the world are we supposed to do between now and November if what's being accused, hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens signing up to vote, what should be done about this? What can we do? Because if nothing is done, maybe it's just another Democrat, head scratcher. How did they pull this one off, Blake? What say you?
Well, if we can't question, the integrity of this election, and if they were going to just, give these people some sort of amnesty, if they're going to smuggle in illegals and then give them voting rights in this election, and they're not, going through the, checking their IDs or their signatures or what have you, and they are blatantly overthrowing our republic by bringing in illegal voters, or these people as using them as a voting block to change the elections to make Texas and Florida blue, for example, then it would be just a blatant coup. And I would just say it's time for to be a dissolving, I guess, of the United States, and it will have to go to more of states' rights, or maybe just red states and the blue states. We have to find some kind of peaceful way to live amongst each other, but we have our own different rules, and we'll have to sort things out from there. But our country is compromised at the highest level, and the Fed is going against the interests of the republic, and they should not be. Their authority should be not recognized. It should be challenged. So yes, it'd be time to just divide the country into red states and blue states. Because that would be but I mean it seems to be happening. So they will do everything it takes to win this election, even if it's to legalize illegals, if it's to lower the voting age, if it's to not have signature matches, if it's to have mail-in balloting again, or 2 weeks of early balloting, or just stopping counting in the middle of the night and then finding boxes full of. Right, keep counting until they win.
It's shocking.
Harvesting.
How often they might find the exact number needed.
Yeah, so we can't continue to coexist with these people. So if they want to have the illegals, then let the blue states have them, and we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds as it evolves with red states and blue states, and who's prosperous, who's not. And as long I don't want to see a civil war. That would be awful. But hey, if the Democrats want these policies, then they should be allowed to have them. They should be sit in their own mess of their own making. That's fine. Maybe that's the best way for them to learn, and then we can welcome them back into the red states if necessary. But we need to have a serious reality check. So no, we can't bring in people to change the course of this election just because they don't want Trump back in. It doesn't work like that. But they're making it happen. So what do you think, Brian?
Yeah. Well, speaking of making a restream for 3 minutes here, trying to share you this secondary page, and then it crashed the system and had to reboot my microphone. So all of that stuff aside, I'm trying to show you this screen that I'm looking at, but it will not let me do that on my side. But the Rolling Stone article,
pull it up. Was this the Rolling Stone article?
Yeah, the second one. I scrolled down. It says Stephen Richer, who's the Maricopa County recorder, quote tweeted,
who should not be taken seriously. Stephen Richer is super corrupt in Maricopa.
Explain.
I think he was the only Republican that got elected. Yeah, because he's deep state uniparty, bad dude. Stephen Richer is not who I would consider a credible, open, transparent. Should not be, if anything, shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the election. But yes, he's their corrupt little recorder.
Well, speaking of someone you shouldn't take seriously, this is a Rolling Stone article, if you will.
Right.
Paging the Tsarnaev brothers for front page duties. But anyway, they quoted him and said that Stephen Richer responded to Musk's post in an 8-part response, offering the billionaire clearer insight about how voter data is processed and presented. They said Richer is a registered Republican and self-proclaimed owner of many, many Musk-related products. He says only 39,000 new voters registered in Maricopa County in 2024, and in Arizona that number is about 60,000. So he's just disputing that the numbers are not as high. And then he's further explained that Arizona requires proof of citizenship to register to vote. And though it can use Social Security numbers to verify proof of identity, it puts them on a federal-only list, meaning they have only provided federal identifying materials instead of state driver's license or ID, with only about 30,000 voters in all of Arizona falling on that list. Well, why is anyone on that list? Why is anyone on being discriminated against appropriately? Or that it may or may not have been on more than one occasion that somebody I know could have walked into their polling place. Oh, I'm sorry, you must be a registered Democrat to vote in these primaries. Oh, I'm sorry, you must be a registered Republican to vote in these primaries. And maybe you just say what you need to say to get a vote anyway, and you go cast a perfectly valid vote. If people are on restricted lists, it doesn't mean that they are prevented from tossing their vote into the wrong spot. It depends on who's sitting at the counter that day. So anyway, they continue that it's disproportionate college-age students. And they don't have access to a birth certificate. You know, you're right. All of these Richer things that he's quoting.
No photo ID. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you get into college without a photo ID, you asshole? Anyway, if you want to read some crap, go to Rolling Stone. But concerned, this is what I have in front of me here. If I didn't tweet this out, I'm going to tweet this out right now. This is from SSA. Yeah, I will post this because this is just kind of giving raw data. Just posted now. I didn't have a chance to title it anything. Social Security Administration weekly data for Help America Vote Verification, HAVV, transactions by state with the week ending in 2024. Just here's a place to go do some additional research. If there's a single person who's not in this country legally, they have no right getting anywhere near a voting booth. And we have to make sure that that happens. Okay. Speaking of being nowhere near a voting booth, the Republicans elected Mike Johnson to be third in line for the presidency. But now people are openly questioning if he is being blackmailed by Congress, Blake. So what say you? Agree or disagree that Speaker Johnson is being blackmailed by Congress?
Well, you know what? I'm just going to agree with it because that seems like to be the modus operandi. So they like to find some dirt and get their hooks on you. I don't know. I mean, it's possible they could go after his family or something. Who knows what these demonic dark forces will do so that they can continue to, control the levers of power in Congress. So this is put up by Marjorie Taylor Greene, suggesting that Mike Johnson is being blackmailed. Introduced speculation that the Speaker of the House, because his views have changed so much. So she spoke to Tucker Carlson on his new show, and she has emerged as a vocal Johnson critic in recent weeks, saying Louisiana Republican has completely changed his character. leading to speculation that he may be being blackmailed. Now, there has not been any evidence to substantiate this view. And Newsweek contacted Johnson's office by email to comment on this story. I'm sure he's going to say, yes, I'm being blackmailed. Help me. Yeah, we can trust Newsweek. So Mike Johnson has completely changed his character in a matter of 5 months after he's become speaker. She added that while Johnson is a Christian and a conservative, his commitment to passing aid for Ukraine and the $1.2 trillion spending bill to fund government agencies passed last month shows he is changing. So Mike has made a complete departure of who he is and what he stands for, and to the point where people are literally asking, is he blackmailed? What's wrong with him? Because he seems completely disconnected with what we want. So, I mean, that's very possible. Haven't we seen plenty of people go in there and they seem to be doing their gung-ho? They're going to change things. They're going to straighten out Congress, and then they just seem to be shells of themselves after a while. Who knows? Maybe they get, invited to certain parties. They get compromised, or they get invited to the Epstein Island or something like that, or they get ways of getting paid a bunch of money, or perhaps there's threats against their friends and family. We just don't know. There's no depth to the evils that some of these people will, go to control and compromise our officials. So, like I said, it might be a lost cause of trying to, vote our way out of this. At some point, hopefully, maybe it'll just have to go to states for a while and reduce the Fed, or the blue states can have the Fed. I'm not sure until we can flush out all the bad actors and put the United States back together again. But we've got some major corruption problems. This just seems to be getting worse, even though we have good people that we think are going to do good things. And here's another case. So I don't know what's going on, but I would take it, reasonably seriously. And I don't like, some of these bills that he's passed. So we'll just say, he probably is being blackmailed. If it seems like it, if it looks like it, it probably is.
Yeah, very disappointed. Very disappointed with these budgets. They hold on to it. They write it in advance, and then they drop it at the last second, so you have no chance to. Why are we not trimming 5, 10, 20% off of our budgets every year? With the amount of debt that what is going on? We're just aiming at the side of a mountain, and we just keep flying faster and faster toward it. So it's like at some point you do have to wonder, do we have a kamikaze pilot right now? Does this person even give a damn if I make it home for dinner to see my family? Does anyone care that I'm yelling this at a brick wall and nothing's happening? I don't know how much longer we have. We're not operating like a sane person would. We're operating like some mix between a meth head, a drunken sailor home on a leave for a weekend, a college kid at spring break, an Alzheimer's patient who can't put his shoes on. We're like every worst version of every age range. A toddler shitting his pants. Like the United States government is operating like the worst character traits of every age of humanity from birth to death. And it feels like we're the crazy ones for pointing this stuff out.
Perhaps
we're living in a cuckoo clock. I don't like this Speaker Johnson guy, and I don't know if Marjorie Taylor Greene has a fix or an ask. What are we going to do? We're going to swap him out and put somebody different into that number 3 position. They're trying to get Speaker Haywood Jeffries. What's that guy's name? Haywood or Jim Jeffries?
Right.
No. Haywood.
All right,
what is that guy's name? Speaker, the Democrat minority leader.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Trying to overthrow
Hakeem Jeffries, I think.
Hakeem Jeffries, thank you.
Yeah.
So, the Republicans have bigger things to worry about than who's negotiating their terrible deals. But I don't know.
All right,
speaking of
Brian, we got
deals,
lightning round. I got 10 minutes. Let's cruise through the rest here. I think we only got a few stories left, right? Yep.
Speaking of terrible deals.
Yeah, basically 2 left. Okay, well, Brian, agree or disagree? Israel is actually our greatest enemy, not really our ally. What say you?
Well, and that perfectly connects to the Mike Johnson thing about the budget. Why was Ukraine and Israel linked to the southern border of the United States? One is urgent and important and crucial to us. And then there were these other two things. So I can't make any sense of it at all. What say you?
Well, on this particular issue, I'm not going to say that Israel is our greatest ally or our most dangerous enemy, but I think the Netanyahu regime within Israel is probably our greatest enemy right now. I think he's got to go yesterday. He should have been gone months ago, and he's only going to make things worse for us and probably embroil us into World War III. He should be reined in. They need to have new elections, I think, before things get any more dangerous. But let's take a look at a few stories here. This is put up by Mike Adams. Far from being an ally, Israel is actually America's most dangerous enemy. And that's because a lot of it is, Netanyahu. And we'll just say, how about this? Israel attacking an Iranian embassy in Syria to provoke Iran and then rope the United States into World War III. Yeah, not our problem. I don't think we need to be getting into a conflict with Iran or a proxy war supporting Israel against Iran. So they continue to move through with their what looks like blatant genocide. They are committing war crimes, and they have bombed an embassy in Syria. I'm actually not 100% if it was the embassy or something close to it. But it's dangerous to make these sorts of maneuvers. So I understand we want to get these hostages out from Hamas and out of Gaza.
How many days has it been that Americans have been held hostage by these monsters?
How many American hostages are left? I don't actually know.
Why is this not front page news every day? Like this is this type of story that should lead the broadcast, even if it's just to give an update and move along. Like if it fits a political narrative, this thing would be flashing red nonstop if it hurts a Republican. But when a Democrat is in charge, like they just ignore the story. Very little fanfare. Very little follow-up on this. These are Americans behind enemy lines attacked by
right. Well, that should be the focus, and yeah, instead it's just it's divisive, and I feel like Israel I don't want to say Israel per se. I say the Netanyahu regime within Israel has really been heavy-handed in their response to the 10/7 attacks, and it just continues, of course, escalating further the other day with this bombing of these food workers that were in coordination with the IDF, still got blown up. You got Ben Shapiro here accusing Chef Andres of blood libel. That's because proclaiming that the World Central Kitchen aid workers were targeted deliberately by Israel while coordinating their location with the IDF. But that's not really true.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's saying it was intentional. That would just be ridiculous.
Right. We're not
exactly people saying that it was intentional. I didn't hear that.
Some people believe that it is intentional.
Who would believe that they would intentionally do that, and for what reason?
Because they coordinated their right, but they had no reason to go and attack a food truck. People are starving over there. They're trying to bring aid, and this is kind of something. I'm sorry, this is something I see the Netanyahu regime do. Is just commit these war crimes. They'll kill journalists. They'll kill hospital workers. They'll blow up churches. They don't care. And then they'll act like it's not a big deal. And of course, they'll never take any responsibility for it. But a lot of these people around the world are really upset about this. Yeah, and the Central Kitchen is not good. And Jose Andres was supportive of the war. He actually strongly defended Israel's war on Gaza on October 16th. But now Ben Shapiro wants us to think that he's a raging anti-Semite full of irrational hatred for no particular reason. And this shows, Chef Andres in a tweet from months ago explaining this. But then, yes, these as soon as his food workers got blown up, He changed his tune. He's not happy about that, nor should he be. And then you've got the Israeli government spokesman refusing to apologize for killing of the food aid workers. No surprise there. And you even have this propagandist prick Kirby defending Israel's right to bomb food convoys into Gaza. This is a tweet from Gerald Salente. We'll watch this quick clip.
Nothing playing on my side.
We're not seeing it. Oh, okay. How about this? I don't know if
the
audio is not real good on this. Let's see if we can hear it.
This question presumes at this very early hour that it was a deliberate strike, that they knew exactly what they were hitting, that they were hitting aid workers and did it on purpose. And there's no evidence of that. I would also remind you, sir.
That's true. There wouldn't be necessarily any evidence, but it's not like these kinds of things haven't happened before. And I'm blaming the Bibi regime. I would love to see peace in the Middle East, but I don't think that's ever going to happen with Bibi in control. So they need new leadership.
Oh, you mean like the Abraham Accords, Blake? The Abraham Accords, you're so mad at me for bringing up. I loved when it was peaceful over there and we could just live our lives. All this shit. I hate this war crap. I loved the Abraham Accords. Trump was great in that regard.
All right. Well, it was only a few years, Brian. It wasn't like
those were great
decades
years.
of peace. All right.
So, yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, it's a mess. And yeah, I guess that's all I have on that one. So let's light it down. I got 5 more minutes. We didn't get into the Biden and Ashley.
Let's get into that. Yeah, Joe Biden allegedly liked getting into. Gross. So agree or disagree, Blake, that the woman who air quote stole Ashley Biden's diary deserves prison? What say you?
Well, I am going to disagree there, but who knows? So Ashley Biden, was she in rehab or something because she's from this awful corrupt family, and she was had her diary. They found it under her bed. So some are saying stolen, some say it was found, but it seems like she just found it. But then instead of giving it back to her, she sold it. So maybe that's an issue there. But at the same time, I think it's a lot more alarming what was in it. And why is Biden in power right now if this is the kind of monster that he is? So I'm not saying he's guilty, but we've seen him sniffing children, and we've seen enough rumors. We've seen enough, red flags to realize that maybe this guy should be investigated for God knows what he's been up to. So Ashley Biden, Joe Biden's youngest daughter, left her diary under a mattress at the Palm Beach rehab home following a stay at a treatment facility. 2 individuals who found the diary at a halfway house later sold the diary to James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. And according to a January 2019 entry, Ashley recalled how she used to shower with her father, Joe Biden, and it suggested that it may have contributed to a sex addiction. Diary describes her and Father Joe taking showers together at an inappropriate age. Says she's been hypersexualized. I remember being somewhat sexualized with, and it says brackets, a family member. Could have been Hunter, who knows. She says, I remember having sex with friends at a young age, showers with my dad, probably not appropriate. And then, of course, James O'Keefe got a hold of it and was later a victim of a late-night FBI raid. He wasn't even sure if he was going to release it because he couldn't confirm or verify its authenticity. But then, of course, we have this flashback in a recording where Ashley admits that the diary is hers, saying that I'm Ashley Biden, it's my stuff. Let's roll this clip here.
Hi, is this Ashley Biden?
This is she. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I just wanted, so I heard you have a few of my belongings, and so I was going to ask if you could please meet my friend, Eric, who is down in Del Rey, if you could meet him and get this up to him.
There's a diary here. It starts in January. It says, January at the end of a New York month, I'm sitting on a bed at the I building.
Yeah, so if you could just give everything that you have to Eric, that would be really great.
I don't want to give this to the wrong person. I mean, I want to make sure
at this point, and I don't mean to. I don't want to have to get Secret Service involved in this, right? Because it's a whole process.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
An embarrassing family scandal that she doesn't want out, even though her father is a monster and deserves to be removed from power.
Rewind this line. Rewind this line just a little bit, because this is like the main, like that line.
Everything that you have.
So yeah, she's basically confirming it. She's not like, oh, that's just garbage. That has nothing to do with me. I don't care what you do with it. Just throw it away. It's National Enquirer trash. It's tabloid garbage.
And she didn't say, I don't know what that is. I've never that doesn't sound like my writing. I don't think that's me. She didn't say that.
Nope. Yeah. So it's very telling.
To Eric, that would be really great.
I don't want to give this to the wrong person. I mean, I want to make sure
at this point, and I don't mean to. I don't want to have to get Secret Service involved in this, right? Because it's a whole process.
Mm-hmm. Why would you get the Secret Service involved if it was just nothing?
But you know, I am Ashley Biden. It is my stuff.
It's kind of like Hunter's laptop. It's embarrassing, and the computer shop owner has it and is freaking out about its contents. It's another one. So yeah, the whole Biden family is just a mess. So it's not fun. I didn't want to throw them under the bus too badly because they were born into that. So it's disgusting.
So if you could
do me one favor, just that part right there. Rewind it 5 seconds and just let that play uninterrupted. Like that's the one part where she admits that it's hers. Pretty unambiguous.
I mean, I want to make sure
at this point, and I don't mean to. I don't want to have to get Secret Service involved in this, right? Because it's a whole process.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I am Ashley Biden. It is my stuff. So if you could just skip all of that over, I would really appreciate it. I know you sent a picture to my husband with a camera and a few other things that are mine as well. So that would be really great. Where is a good place for him to meet you?
So.
All right.
There you have it.
So that's coming out now because the person that retrieved it is being. What is the latest? Like this is in the news now because
because the lady that
being charged
grabbed it might get arrested and imprisoned for taking it, or they're claiming stole it, but if she just left it under the mattress, then. She found it, but rather than giving it directly to her, she sold it. So maybe that is, bad. I'm not saying she deserves prison time for that, but it's problematic. So it's scandalous, and it could, serious enough to raid Project Veritas and arrest O'Keefe at one point over it. So it seems legit. So people should be asking about that. So kind of journalistically, maybe she should have just given it. I don't know exactly if it says how much money she made off of it. I don't know how that all worked. Okay, she got $20,000 from Project Veritas for the diary and other materials. So anyway, so that seems to be the issue there. But I think that's in the public. This is the most powerful man in the world, allegedly.
I mean, the degenerate stuff that the 51 intelligence officials lied and said wasn't Hunter's laptop. All of the German shepherds, the dogs that bite the Secret Service, everything Biden touches gets ruined.
Right.
And he's had his grisly little hands, these little claws, bony little fingers on the American country for 3.5 years now. So, yeah, it's important. It goes to character. It really does. Okay, then we'll keep following this.
Yeah, exactly. But I've got to run, unfortunately. But yes, it's been delightful. Look forward to next show. Good luck with the eclipse. Everyone, thank you so much for your participation. That was great. Yeah, good to have everybody here. Thank you for all the wonderful comments, and have a great weekend. And we'll look forward to catching what happens next time. So until then, I gotta run. TV's Blake Walley on Twitter and thenextlevelnews.com. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody. I'm out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Blake. You have a good rest of your evening, sir. Yeah. I mean, today's topic, what was it? U.S. oil reserves emptied and millions register to vote without ID. I mean, these are the accusations. These are the things we're trying to make sense of as a country and figure out how do we proceed. I was reading articles about how many companies with shareholders, they will not do mail-in votes anymore. Of course. I mean, if you could hand something to a friend of yours and put it directly into their hand, or you could ship it off across the country and it bounces around God knows where, and it's something of importance, why wouldn't you just hand it to them? The vote is sacred. There are accusations about people registering to vote without having to show full ID or just 4 digits of an identification card, the last 4 of a social. Oh, well, that just gives you a temporary work number so you can, that's just so, you can't drive. It's not a license. Well, it's for local elections only. It's not for, who's checking any of this stuff? Who's checking state to state that any of these protocols are being followed? Signature verification. Chain of command, chain of custody. If chain of custody is broken, that's something you can't accept either. There are too many points of failure in any sort of voting that is not in person. Paper ballots that you can count. A Republican and a Democrat, you do stacks of 10. Did you get 5 to 5? Yep. Okay, next. Did you get 9 to 1? Yes. Did you get 10 to 0? Yes. Did you get 4 to 6? Yes. And you just count and it's over real quick. That's how we vote. These accusations are terrifying. So you could either believe that guy in Arizona, who Blake says has no credibility in the Rolling Stone article, or Rolling Stone, who have no credibility. Or you could believe Elon Musk for tweeting that. Or maybe the truth is somewhere in between. You can go find countervailing views at cisa.gov/rumor control. They'll tell you what they think you want to know. Okay, you're God, you know everything. Go see their countervailing views. We had another video taken down a couple days ago because the V word was mentioned. Simply mentioned. Had another one, an interview with Jim Mars, taken down because the V word was mentioned. It's like, if we don't exercise and engage certain muscle sets, the bicep, if we're not actively engaging the muscle, it will atrophy. I had a knee surgery, and when I got home and started figuring out what my situation was, my thigh muscle had atrophied immensely, quickly. Just a couple of days of not using it. A couple of days, couple of weeks. Had to jump into physical therapy and knock it out. Bring it back. If we don't exercise the muscle of free speech, freedom of speech, having open conversations, you can go to cisa.gov/rumor control. You can go to who.int. You can go to cdc.gov. I have this on a damn ticker at the bottom of the screen at all times. It's there for a reason, so that it catches your eye and that you can go get some countervailing views to what we do at the New American Media. We're reporting on what Rolling Stone and Elon are talking about. Let's dig into the story, try to figure out some more information. But just having another YouTube video go down, it just reminded me that I'm going to once again ask you to follow the New American Media in other places. YouTube.com/@the-new-American-Media. Please hit subscribe. It's 1,400 videos over 13 years. All of those videos are backed up on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com, I believe. So even the ones that YouTube has deleted, they made a duplicate copy. Now they're on Odyssey. I want that option on Rumble. I don't know why they don't have that. That would be such an easy way to migrate YouTube over to a sane network. Kenneth rumbled. Thank you, Kenneth. Please rumble. Join us on Rumble, the new American media. Telegram is our backup to Facebook. Facebook pulled the most wonky stuff, disabling my personal account, disabling my company account. So you can follow us on Facebook. I encourage you to, because our private group, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. I mean, we cover all the topics that end up on the live shows, the Tuesday, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern shows that we do here on the New American Media for the Agree to Disagree Show. But we cover these subjects and we hash them out on Facebook all day long. So TNAM''S, the Agree to Disagree Show. That's a private group. It'll say, how'd you find this private group? Say, Brian sent ya. Tell him the Sandman sent ya. And we also have a page on Facebook, The New American Media. The other meta product is Instagram. Find us at The New American Media. On X, we're at American_media_. On Truth Social, The New American Media. Subscribe to our podcast, please, on Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show. Our homepage is thenewamericanmedia.com, soon to be getting a facelift. And if you like what we're doing and you would like to support what we're doing, patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. You can link up with us right there. And you can do like the $5 a month thing, or the $15 a month, or maybe it's $100 a month, or maybe $10,000 a month. If you'd like to help with the operations, I'll tell you, I've been in the middle of toward the end of doing corporate taxes and corporate filings and closing in one state and opening in another state, and then there's websites, and then there's web hosting. For running on the leanest possible payroll imaginable, the expenses are significant. So if you like what we're doing and there's any way you could sign up to chip in a cup of coffee or Netflix or $100 a month and really help us out, patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. We certainly appreciate that. Oh, doggone it, Kenneth is asking for Venmo. You know, I do have a Venmo. I don't know. Let me check something on the air. You ask me every time, and it's been on my to-do list. I apologize. I haven't gotten around to it because I don't really use it. But if you wanted to send something on Venmo, just for now, it's at my name, at Brian Engelman. BrianEngelman. Okay, you could do that. How about that? And yeah, I think what I'll do is I will do a company account for TNAM or for the New American Media or the Agree to Disagree Show. I'm not sure. Maybe set up a parallel account. We also have PayPal. But yeah, we just want to be connected with you as we move from April 4th to the election. We want to get through this tumultuous time, hopefully in one piece, hopefully peacefully. That's my intention. That's my hope. But we simply need some form of representative government. Yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, you know, I need to get there's a way I can give out the wallet information and you guys can just drop a donation in that way. I might have to double check how to do that. I'm not entirely certain as the logistics. But yeah, I was an early adopter into Bitcoin. I tried to buy one coin and I was just going to keep it forever. It was $200 at the time. I tried to buy one coin, but the app I was using, it took me to 0.44 of a Bitcoin because it took fees out and however it calculated it. It capped the transaction at $100. So I got half of a Bitcoin for $100. Half of a Bitcoin now is maybe 35,000. They cashed me out at like $7,000 or something, $6,000 or something like that. I wanted to just keep it in and ride that parabolic wave. Anyway, I've invested some more in a little bit here, a little bit there. and it's done okay. It's just like, I tried to buy a couple of coins early. I just didn't know how to do it. Then I tried to buy one once I figured it out, but then it glitched. Otherwise I'd be sitting on a few Bitcoin right now. That'd be awesome. But yeah, please be like that guy who paid for a pizza with 21,000 Bitcoin. How fun is that? How crucial is that? Anyway. Okay, cool. Thank you for the reminder. You still have one Bitcoin left. That's great. I say keep it. Silver dude. Yes, silver is a great way to hedge. It's one thing to have Bitcoin, but it's like if the grid's down, what are you going to, you don't have anything. So tangible stuff. And if you have gold, it's like, yeah, that's cool. But like, you can't get a sandwich for a piece of gold. You can, but you don't get change. Hey, can you break this gold coin so I can have a turkey sandwich? And they're like, no. If you have like a silver 10-cent piece, worth $2, $3, $4 or something, $5. Okay, can I get a sandwich? I got a silver coin. Can I get a sure? That's an equal exchange of goods. 500 ounces of silver. What is silver at? 20 silver spot price. Is this taking me to an ad? I just want to see what was the page I used to go to? Coinflation.com. Silver is now at $27 an ounce. Platinum and palladium around 1,000. Gold at 2,300. Yeah, I really wish those limiting factors on silver would get lifted. I would really like to see that. Been hearing for years that that's the way to go. But who knows? Yeah, gold and silver. I think that it's crucial that we prepare for any sort of circumstance. I was on the air on Tuesday, and we had inclement weather tearing through. There was a big storm cell, caused 5 tornadoes, ripped roofs off, lots of damage. I actually had to kind of go hunker down in the basement for a little while. And, I think it's important that we're prepared for all sorts of scenarios. It really does. If the current administration was actively trying to destroy the United States, I don't know what they would be doing differently than they're doing right now. You could say the same about Congress, potentially. How do we end up at a point where our debt payments, like what do they call that in gambling? The juice. The juice is the interest rate, the interest payments. The VIG. What's the VIG? All sorts of stuff. Yeah. We're paying $1 trillion on interest every 100 days. That's unsustainable. That will necessarily collapse the country. There is no getting around that. And so whether we're preparing for a tornado or a civil war, an economic collapse, it's all part of the same story of just getting your life into a position where you're going to be malleable. Is that martial arts training like Bruce Lee, to be like water, to have no form? Some of the stuff's a little woo-woo, but some of it really makes sense. If you need to grab and go right now, do you know where you're going? Do you know what you're grabbing? Is it in one spot? Or are you going to be paralysis through analysis? Your go bag, your get home bag, your bug out bag. Do you have stuff for your pets? Do you have medication? Do you have protection? Do you have some coins? Yeah. Do you have a place to go? Do you have a property? Are you living in the middle of a nightmare cityscape? I was doing that for a long time. I'm looking up. I have a picture of the view of the garden that I created in Los Angeles. And I liked a lot of the stuff I was able to accomplish living in Los Angeles, and just working on the community. We put a big urban garden there with oranges and limes and grapefruit and lemon, kale and tomato and strawberries. I mean, on a drip irrigation system. I loved what I was able to do with limited resources there in Los Angeles. And I got that picture right there at my desk. I'm looking up right at it. And right underneath it on my vision board, I say, I had to let go. There's a clip out from some magazine that says, I had to let go. And I did. I just had to let go. I would have theoretically stayed in Los Angeles for a while. I would have tried to keep my place. But, California, oh, God, I didn't even get to that story. Wasn't there one more story? Oh, my God, I think there was one more story. There was, but it didn't make its way on here. Oh, I had words on this one. What was this one? Japan has cleaner cities because they aren't run by Dems. Did you hear that one? This was from our good friend Jimmy Kimmel. No, I do want to say something about this. I can't believe this one got left off of. Back. It I don't know off the tape. If U.S. thing says Jimmy Kimmel, he compares Lou's in Japan to Jennifer Garner's teeth. Okay, so soon after his trip to Japan, USA is a filthy and host of the talk show. Kimmel was on a 7-day family panel where he claims to have witnessed the Asian country's high standards of hygiene. However, his praise for Japan is showing a severe criticism of the United States. Shows years about the cleanliness in his country, Japan, to hospitals. Kimmel said even bathrooms in Japanese cities are cleaner. After his visit, Kimmel said he realized that the U.S. Gardner to his series of comparisons. In an attempt to emphasize how clean the bathrooms were in Japan, Kimmel says that their loos were cleaner than Jennifer Gardner's teeth. The law of the Japanese cleanliness set his stay in Disneyland. However, he said that ever since he returned to his home in the U.S., he's been feeling dirty. It's like the whole country is Disneyland and we're living at Six Flags. I've been home 36 hours. I've never felt dirtier. What is this? Netizens. Oh, God. I thought it was Nietzsche. Netizens. What is even that word? Net citizens hit out at Kimmel saying that the country Japan doesn't have immigration and that maybe diversity is not America's strength. Japan has a very strict immigration. 99% of the country is Japanese. X user said. Another user said, get Rollins for starters, you trash bag. Stop voting Democrats. These are their politics. Said another viewer. Okay, my blue snowball microphone restarted unexpectedly again. But I would like to say this. That place that I lived in Los Angeles was a bit of a nightmare. It was very challenging trying to focus on any aspect of my day-to-day life without having to incorporate the craziness around that area where I put in that drip irrigation system, that garden, that has laundry lines on it. It's like an asphalt rectangle, if you will, in between two buildings, behind the building, connecting in between the two laundry rooms, and then the carports on other sides. Shared the space. We had to gate the area in because random nutballs were going back there, dragging dirty mattresses. Going back there and dropping street signs covered with gang graffiti. I mean, we had break-ins to the laundry rooms. We had break-ins to homes. We had cars lit on fire. We had shots fired in the street. We had fist fights in the street, multiple. We had pit bull attacks on the sidewalk. We had more burning cars. We had a tent at the end of the street where a transvestite was turning tricks at the property adjacent to an elementary school. We had an entire homeless encampment down that alley that during cleanup, it made one of the local officials so sick he had to semi-retire from the police force. I don't know what type of medieval disease he caught helping evict these people and cleaning up the trash. California is full of trash. California has done this to themselves. There is no sane person who would want to live in filth. It's not complicated to keep people from congregating at the corners, with the shopping carts, with the tents, with the sprawling trash, and the drugs, and the crime, including the violence and the theft. 90% of the problems happening are being caused by 80% of the same people. Jimmy Kimmel, you should feel dirty being in the United States, being in California. I've been to your show. I've been up at Hollywood and Highland 100 times. Right there. Seen concerts behind your... You had a stage back there. I think it's 30 Seconds to Mars saw him perform there. Never went in for a taping. Although I really have a hard time recalling if Jimmy used to be funny. I feel like he might have used to be funny. In a previous day, I thought Jimmy Kimmel was entertaining. I haven't found him to be entertaining for years. So it begs the Mike Johnson question. Speaker Mike Johnson. Is this person blackmailed? Is this person bribed? Why do they have Trump derangement syndrome to this level? I don't think anti-Biden people have Biden derangement syndrome, because derangement would make it seem as if we are having actions and thoughts and reactions to something based on non-reality, based on... Let me rephrase all of that. A lot of the TDS suffering people have been brainwashed and manipulated by teachers, by spouses, significant others, by websites, by lying legacy media, and of course by intelligence officials who lie and tell you that this is not what it really is. Misinformation and disinformation. If you have a negative opinion of Joe Biden, he's earned it. He's really earned it. If you have Trump derangement syndrome, you're approaching reality from a place that doesn't exist. And I'm convinced a lot of the people that push the hardest and loudest in the media, these are people who are working for powers that be. They're being directed. This is what I wish you to see. Jimmy Kimmel hasn't been entertaining for years now. but he's pushing the ABC, ESPN, Disney agenda. Sage Steele, of course, comes out and says, I interviewed Biden, and it was the scriptedest, most insincere thing I've ever done. It was a joke. She felt dirty doing it. So if you have a negative impression about Biden, I think he's earned it. Like, you clearly get it. But when we actually had a decent president in this country running things, we did not have a potential world war in Ukraine, Russia. We did not have a potential world war in Gaza with those idiots from Hamas going in and killing 1,100 people, sparking a potential World War III over there. And we're still keeping an eye on Taiwan. Off the coast of China right there by Hong Kong. Shanghai. Pretty close to Japan, Jimmy Kimmel. I liked that the world had some sort of stability under President Trump. We've had the opposite, and we are so... You couldn't wreck California anymore if you tried to. Jimmy, you're onto something. It was so bad with the drugs and the crime and the violence. I mean, we had to leave Los Angeles. I didn't want to, but I had to. On a note card that I wrote for myself, and I looked at it every day. I can't remember where I hung it. Maybe I taped it to the mirror in the bathroom for when I was brushing my teeth, or maybe I had it in my office, but it's right next to the picture of the garden, the urban garden that I created. It says, I'm not comfortable living here anymore. I want to focus on packing and leaving above all else. That's what it says on the note card. Here, let me grab it. There. Screenshot that. That was my experience with California, Jimmy Kimmel. How anybody could support the Democrat Party, it's beyond me. When they run policies that run good people out of California, like me, you're doing something wrong. And you should feel disgusted walking down Hollywood Boulevard, driving past the filth and the homeless encampments. This is not America. These Hoovervilles popping up like in the Great Depression. This is madness, utter madness. So, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel kind of going at it and saying he was disgusted being home. Well, maybe you earned it. Maybe you're onto something and you should break free from that mental plantation that you feel so trapped on. Or are you super compromised, Jimmy? I don't know. But it would be very easy to fix California. Very easy. I mean, didn't DeSantis just get rid of squatters' rights? You just pass a new law? Like, you don't need to drag any of this stuff out. Just quickly. Just get it done. I don't know what their plan is. The same people arrested 20 times in the neighborhood. And they will not keep the crazy violent people away from the rest of us. Just trying to throw the football in our yard, trying to do some gardening, trying to work on our car, trying to watch a movie, trying to walk the dog, just living a life, just living a basic life, just trying to get by. We all have the right, the God-given right, to go about our day unmolested. Ashley Biden. And going through your life unmolested, that is really the libertarian stance. I don't identify as conservative or liberal or Republican or Democrat. It's more along the line of libertarian. It's just people should be allowed to do what they do if it's not causing direct harm to somebody. You know, I called for Adam Schiff to be in jail for treason. Well, that's causing harm to the country, trying to get rid of President Trump through lies and deceit. That's a coup. That's an overthrow. That's not politics as usual. Where would America be right now with energy independence if Trump was in office and had been for 3.5 years? Would we have 15 million people storming the border? I just don't think so. Now, would the blue cities in blue states still be backward? To a certain degree. Yeah, Japan was crushed. Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. And look how they rebuilt. And you see what's going on in Lahaina, and you say, well, wait a minute. Is this the plan all along? They just want to demolish and then rebuild in their image? Huh. Is that what the attacks on America and Americana and white, straight, Christian males? That's also white, straight, Christian females. That's also... There's certain groups that the Democrats and the deep state love to target for some reason. But should you feel disgusted being in the United States? You could be specific, Jimmy. Your office is right there on Hollywood Boulevard. I'm sure you're in and out in a limousine. I doubt there's very many days you just walking through the Hollywood and Highland Mall, going to Pacific Sunwear to pick up some cheap sunglasses. I doubt that's what you're doing. But what do I know? Maybe you are, but you got to be driving past it on the freeways to and from wherever you're going, and your tinted windows of that SUV. I remember flying into Jamaica. Flew into... Oh, geez, where did I fly into? Forgetting the name of the city. This is always at the top of my head. I can't remember. Montego Bay. And we stayed at some villas in... Anyway, from Montego Bay to the resort that we were at, it was about an hour in between. Actually, I do want to look that up. It was the Daniel Villas. Negril. There we are. Negril. Negril, Jamaica. That was an hour and 15, hour and a half, maybe. I'm trying to remember. God, it could have been 2 hours. I don't think so, but maybe hour and a half, we'll call it. So 90 minutes from Montego Bay, where the plane landed, into Negril, Jamaica. You want to know the filth that we saw? I mean, in many places, these were very bad roads. Dirt roads, even. And you saw a complete lack of middle class. We were in some sort of a shuttle. You can imagine a type of shuttle, a commercial endeavor, a commercial vehicle. The only people we went past, there weren't a lot of, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Honda. These were like BMWs, Lexus, Mercedes. These were high-end vehicles or no vehicles and transportation vehicles. Maybe a couple of jalopies riding around on 4 donuts of unequal size. But the stuff we passed, I mean, these were kids, barefoot kids walking on the dirt sides of the roads, balancing a basket of something on their head. Goats and chickens just running around haphazardly. I mean, it's not too far off in Los Angeles with what you're seeing, these homeless encampments. I mean, there was literally a guy, when I was living out there, a guy and a girl. They just set up a tent in between 2 property yards and just threw up a tent like they were going to be able to stay there. They were evicted. But eviction turned into a huge process. They don't want to... Oh no, we're not allowed to tell them to keep it moving. No, we can't take the criminally insane and put them behind bars. No, we can't take the mentally disturbed individuals and put them in a treatment facilities. No, they're just going to be your new permanent neighbors yelling stuff at you, maybe throwing things or hitting or kicking or using a weapon on you as you walk past. Because that's happened. I had a crazy lady walk in when we were having breakfast, late breakfast, early lunch. My dad was in town. And this big lady came in and just started yelling, and it was very uncomfortable. Right in the middle of lunch, of breakfast. And it's this crazy lady that they cannot get anyone to take off the streets. Oh, that's inhumane. No. Living on the streets is inhumane. Get this person some help. Get them some treatment. If they're not committing crimes, there's ways to keep crazy people, but this is not, but, California doesn't have to be run this way. The only way California is going to be run this way is if it's intentional. And the only reason you would do everything wrong is if you're intentionally trying to destroy the state. If you're intentionally extrapolate upon that, the only way that you're making the decisions that Joe Biden administration is making is if you're intentionally trying to destroy the United States of America. Yeah, Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, they're saying what we've all been saying for years. But I love this Jimmy Kimmel story. I hope this has legs. Because you've seen people even like Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks starting to come around. You've seen Stephen A. Smith start to come around. I expect an avalanche of people spewing a little bit of common sense to stand up and endorse President Trump this time around. Hopefully so much that he wins all 50 states and there's no amount of cheating that can allow another 4 years of this train wreck. This whole voting system has to be corrected. Just automatically sending out blank ballots to random people unverified through the U.S. Post Office. If this is all going through the post office, then the post office is running the election. Who elected them to run the United States federal elections? Nobody did. Because I even question if the people in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, no matter how left-wing and progressive they hold themselves to be, I find it almost impossible to believe that anybody could really go in on voting day and vote to stomp on their own foot, to slam their own car and their own hand into the car door. Like that gag you probably saw 50 different versions and varieties of with Buster Bluth on Arrested Development. I just binge watched that series. Slamming the hand into the car door. But I just find it hard to believe that people would intentionally do things that are not in their best interest. Any parent, why would you vote for a soft on crime district attorney that's going to let crazy, violent, dangerous people spinning around with their eyes closed, arms out with weapons in their hands? Just, your kids walking to school, you're walking your dog, you're washing the car, you're getting your mail, you're talking to the neighbor across, and it's just crazy, blindfolded, drunk person spinning around with knives. You harness those people and take them where they need to go, and it's not spinning around on the streets. That's compassion. That's actually giving a shit about your neighborhood. New York is crumbling to pieces. Chicago. You're seeing all these cities being invaded intentionally right now. I took 3.5 years of Spanish class. I've traveled to Mexico multiple occasions. I love speaking Spanish. It's one of my favorite things to do. It is one of my favorite things to do. And I'll tell you what, if you have any sort of acumen in the bilingual realm, next time you talk to someone who's from there, talk to them in as much Spanish as you can. And of course, it'll be broken Spanish and como se dice, no entiendo, repitas por favor, You know, you're like, I don't understand. Can you repeat that? Despacio, slow down. Como se dice? How do you say? Repeat that, por favor, please. People light up. I had a great time in Mexico for Cancun spring break peak week. I think that we're in spring break right now for a lot of people. Happy spring break. Be safe. Several of my friends did not make it back safe. Had a car crash. God, 6 or 7 of them died coming back from Florida, going to Ohio. I think somewhere in Kentucky on the freeway. Be super safe, please. I like Mexican culture. I like Mexican people. You know, that's the thing, though. This invasion is not about the state of Mexico. It is, because they're the ones who are supposed to be working with us, except when Biden's brain is broken and this is what he wants, there's no teeth to it. But you put Trump back in office, these people are going to start piling up in the Mexico side of the wall real fast. And that's when Mexico will be forced to do something about it. Central America, South America, Africa, like this massive forced migration, the faked political persecution. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. None of these people who've broken into the country have any voting rights in the United States. And I can't with certainty say that the safeguards are in place to protect the election, to protect the integrity of 2024. This pendulum has got to swing back to sanity. I've never lived through anything like this. There's been pockets of crazy, pockets of weird, pockets of strange, pockets of treason, pockets of what the actual, but nothing like the all-out assault that we've seen for the past few years. So, yeah. I think we're in an American Renaissance phase where we're watching enough happen right in front of us that it cannot be ignored. It can't be pushed off. Past couple months, I've had an issue with the mechanism in the back of my toilet bowl. It's a brand new toilet, 3 years old. Like, why am I having an issue? And it's not floating up. So it's either not activating to fill the tank, or then when it does, the floating ball pops up, but it doesn't activate it actually. So then it just keeps running and pumping all that water right into my water bill. You can jury rig it. There's a thing where you can twist the knot and it'll spin the length of the two mechanized arms on the flotation device. That works sometimes, and then it doesn't work, or it's more likely that it'll activate but not stop, or more likely that it'll stop but not activate. Today, I kind of reached the point where even finagling it, wiggling it, would not cause it to become actuated. And I said, I think you've kind of forced my hand. Now, what you need to do, I recommend this to everyone. It takes a couple more minutes, but this is how I was raised. Oh, you're cheap. Well, you know what? I make do with less than many people I know. And the less that you require, the easier it is for you to maintain autonomy and freedom. I don't need fancy toys. I need autonomy and freedom. But you call the company when something breaks. What else? I have an electric gauge. What do you call it? You put a couple batteries in it, you spin it on, and you press it to the wall outlet. It's like an electric meter device. It'll go. If it's a hot wire. Oh, okay. And it stopped working. I'm like, well, why did it stop working? It should still be working. I'm going to call that company. Shoot them a message. Oh, where'd you get this? Or I did that with a Craftsman shovel. I was shoveling, and the damn shovel broke. The wooden part of the shovel down at the spade head. Had to jump through a couple of hoops, but then they end up mailing me out another one. I'm like, thanks. If you can't stand behind your company, if you can't stand behind your product, what are you? So I did. I lifted the lid of my toilet, flipped it upside down. It had a number to call, and they sent me the part, the replacement part. So it's been sitting on the counter for a week, 2 weeks. Then I moved it to the bathroom. That was on a shelf. I'm like, I'll deal with it later. But today, even jiggling that handle now, take the lid off and you're in there and you jiggle the handle, even that won't get it to work. And I'm like, well, if I want to use the restroom, I think today's the day. I got to drain the tank. I got to unscrew this thing. I got to disconnect this, and I got to reconnect that, and then tighten that. Then I got to refill it, and then I got to, like, I don't want to do all this. There's 45 things I would much rather spend my time on. But now my hand has been forced. I no longer have the option to kick this can down the road. Now, that's true with my water tank malfunctioning. Isn't this the same thing we're talking about, the U.S. debt? You kick the can down the road and pay it later? Well, at some point, the bookie cuts you off, and it's like, we're done here. So I don't know if there's like a grand plan to wipe out the debt and zero it down and go, nah, we don't know all that. Or if their grand plan is just take out the old people so they don't have unfunded liabilities because such a huge component is healthcare. You know, there's no lengths that gross people won't go to line their pockets. What happened in Hawaii and how are they rebuilding it and who's getting screwed? I mean, man, I feel like we should be doing a show on that once a month. There's a lot of people out there who are still hurting really bad. And there's not enough people standing up for them. And they're just getting steamrolled. They're getting railroaded. But at some point, the issue that you're facing hits you in the face. Literally. How many people, last week that was a big story. Multiple women are reporting they're just walking down the street in New York and they're getting hit in the face. Massive welts, broken teeth, surgery required, brain damage, just walking down the street and getting hit. By the way, this is probably one or two people doing 95% of these attacks. Get them, and it's going to stop, you morons. And you don't let people out with, oh, yeah, just go ahead, you're done. When you're crazy violent, you stay in your cage. Once that has been proven, this system has shaken a lot of people awake rather abruptly. You know, that the first day I flushed the toilet and it wouldn't, it's like, you roll up the sleeves and you take the tank off and you're like, you anticipate digging in and figuring things out. Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. You could probably pick 50 other cities. People have been shaken awake rather abruptly because of this invasion. Your money and your resources are being spent, squandered, stolen to people that broke in instead of the people that are on our streets, the U.S. citizens who need some support, who need some help. Don't we want to help our community? We put on our face mask before we help our neighbors. So the United States is in no position to be taking on all of this debt, all of these expenditures. And you go, well, unless, of course, it's part of a greater plan. Maybe we need to hurry up and stock up the military, who's about 30% understaffed right now. I don't know what the number is, but it's severely understaffed. There's theories on why we need these people, but we're not hearing it. There's theories on why they don't care about the deficit and the debt, but we're not hearing it. If that's the plan, we got to hear it. But in 2024, it seems like people from coast to coast have been shaken from their slumber by the non-functional component in the back of that toilet. Maybe today's the day they're going to have to deal with this stuff. Maybe today's the day they're going to take time out. They'd rather do 45 other things. But you know what? These totalitarian politicians who ran roughshod over you during COVID, who have been ruining our formerly great American cities, they have a lot of explaining to do. A lot of explaining to do. And in some ways, maybe the legacy, we'll see how the election goes. I feel like President Trump should win all 50 states or close to it. It's been that bad. It has been that bad. We'll see how it shakes out, but maybe this is what was needed to shake Americans out of the slumber. But when they don't fill the strategic oil reserves, we are left vulnerable. It's like going to sleep and leaving your car doors wide open with your overhead light on. Why? Why are you doing something so stupid? Unless you're intentionally trying to create, like a bait car. That's what they would do in a lot of the cities. They'd leave a car out and unlocked, and they'd use it for bait, waiting for someone to come by. You've seen prank videos? Some of these are a little aggressive. I'll tell you what. I can close my eyes and see the one where they're hiding in the bushes or a block away, and they got a couple cameras, and they leave a bike out. And someone walks by and does that thing where they look around, they check, they double check, they look again, and they go, all right, free bike. And they get on the bike and they start riding, and they're at the top of a hill, and they start cruising down the hill. Well, they were looking over here to see if someone left their bike. They didn't look at the bike to see that a rope was tied to it. And they start careening down this hill, and then suddenly the rope is yanked, and the person flies off. So why would you leave a bike out unless you want it to be stolen? Why would you leave your country open unless you wanted it to be invaded? Why would you take the strategic oil reserves and empty them or significantly reduce them and then not immediately refill them? While we're on the brick, you have a pointy stick and you are poking the Russian bear trying to get into an armed nuclear race in World War III because of when you overthrew Ukraine in 2014 with Victoria Nuland and Barack Obama and Joe Biden to take over Burisma and steal the energy reserves. That's the grand plan here. We're risking nuclear war, but we don't want to make sure that we are prepared to defend ourselves if need be. That sounds like an intentional act of sabotage, treason. I cannot think of any other way that would be definable. This was always a ploy, and I yelled about this when it happened. There needs to be a new rule on the book, and I would recommend that President Trump do this. And on day one, you set it so that the strategic oil reserves in this country are never subject to the whims of a political stunt like that ever again. Compartmentalize it. Cordon that particular line item of the budget off. Every year you run your omnibus. And it never may dip. Oh, gasoline. Oh, what did Peter Doocy mockingly call it? The Putin price hike to Karine Jean-Pierre. The Putin price hike. Okay. So you steal all of those oil reserves, all that petroleum. You drive down the price of gas temporarily a little bit. And then you run out of it and you never replace it. And gas is going up again. And you're like, yeah, aren't you the battery president? Like you're all addicted to batteries because China, because bribery, because what? Because what? We produce all of this oil in this country and you're going to do what? Sure feels deliberate. But the people who have tried to avoid dealing with fixing the broken tank on their toilet in the big cities of this country, the people across, from East Palestine, Ohio, where the train crashed, and then was subsequently intentionally set on fire. Unnecessarily, by the way. Unnecessarily set on fire. I believe I've read reporting that said that it wasn't even leaking, like there was no need to do that. So what? So who did it? Why did you do it then? Or maybe it was necessary to set all those toxic chemicals on fire. Explain to me why you don't cordon that off. Well, we were worried it was going to explode. Well, it didn't until you did it. If I didn't punch him in the face, I was worried that he wasn't going to get punched in the face. I mean, that's a good point right there. People in Lahaina, do you think they've had enough of this stuff? This Democrat deep state lies, domination, all the mask mandates, kicked out of the military, kicked off of your job. By the way, go to cdc.gov and cdc.gov/vaccine for any topic specifically regarding vaccine-related medical claims and political implications. That scrolls at the bottom of every show. That's the gun to my head. I must tell you these things. Countervailing views. So yeah. Shovelgate. Yeah, Kenneth. No, it was a running gag in my family. My grandfather, Malcolm Homer Engelman. And I have his NASA badge hanging up over there. I don't remember. He was visiting and something about something, and he ended up writing the company, and there was a phrase that was used. He was unhappy with some product or something had happened, and there was a term that came out of that. You know what? I'm going to write him a nice stiff letter. I'm going to write him a nice stiff letter. And that's where, like, that was maybe the first time I realized, oh, okay, if you get something from a company that's unsatisfactory, let them know. Chances are they would want to make that better for you. They don't want you out there telling, look, if you fix something for someone, they're going to go out and tell some people. I'm like, hey, this weird thing happened. They made it up to me. Like I had Smucker's jelly that had chopped up caterpillar stuff in it. And I remember my mom was like, oh, God, this is gross. I don't know how much we'd eaten of this already. And, you know, I mean, they're harvesting strawberries and whatnot. And it's going to happen. Yeah, there's like a certain allowable percentage or weight of bugs that they allow for food just because it's just how you're bringing it all together. It's going to happen. But yeah, she called up and told them what was what. And then it turned into, they had a representative come over, said, you know, hey, we'd like to apologize for this to make it right. They brought us like several cases of jelly of like each flavor. We were giving them out as gifts. And we had jelly for 10 years in that house. So that's a little bit of that squeaky wheel gets the grease. So yes, I did. Shovelgate turned into, and that was weird. I mean, I did have to find the original receipt, and I'm like, come on, who keeps a receipt on a shovel? I felt like Mitch Hedberg talking about the donuts. No, man, I don't need a receipt. You do not need to bring ink and paper into this transaction. I cannot imagine a scenario where I would need to prove to somebody that I bought a donut. Hey, man, don't be acting like I didn't buy that donut. I have the receipt right here. It's filed in my filing cabinet under D for donut. All right. God, I miss Mitch Hedberg. But you can contact companies and get feedback, and you can have things fixed. And so Shovelgate, so Grandpa Gate turned to Shovelgate, which turned into Toilet Tank Gate. But yeah, I mean, we are the consumers. And in this nation, we're the consumers of this political environment. And when we reject this, we call you, we write you a nice stiff letter and say, you know, your time's up. Your product did not maintain the way it was supposed to, the way that was expected, the way that was demanded of you. And for these reasons, you are out. And I think that wake-up call has happened across this country. regardless of all of these kangaroo court attacks against President Trump, trying to bankrupt him, ruin him. What's he do? Puts out a shoe line and makes a bunch of money. What's he do? Sells Truth Social, makes a couple $1 billion. We need a fighter in that position. We need someone with a little bit of common sense. When it comes to business and running this country like a business and being smart, the whole immigration thing is not smart. And I'll wrap up on this final point. If I'm having a party and I invite some people over and a guest, we'll call that person, we'll call him Joe, for Joe Biden. Comes over, you know the thing. Thanks for you. We're over the party place. I brought you some Skittles. I got the bowl here. You got the Ziploc baggie. Put them in. Put them in. I got the Skittles in there. I got to tell you, I'm serious. I'm serious. There are 5 Skittles in there that are poison. They'll kill you. And I'm serious. I'm being serious. 5 of those Skittles. Just 5 of those Skittles, man. You know the thing. It'll get you. It'll get you. Enjoy the party. That's all immigration is. You cannot let a pile of Skittles in without pulling out the poison. You know? Chinese nationals, gang members, criminal record, violence, drugs. These are ones that get weeded out. The people in this country, I mean, you've seen police officers, you've seen college kids, you've seen nursing students, all harmed by someone who should have been in a cage or not in this country to begin with. You must simply filter all of the known poison out before you can have any legitimate conversation about any sort of immigration. I love the Mexican culture. I love, there's so much to go see in this world. And I love those environments where I'm able to go down there and come back and then but I've never just like jumped into their country and then started demanding stuff. I've never attacked their police, getting handouts and staying at 4-star hotels for free. Like, I get why someone would want to take that vacation. But this is all unsustainable and unvoted on and unwelcome and unwanted, unrealistic, unfriendly, uncooperative, unsafe. It's unnecessary as far as I can understand. So this is what the country is having to make a decision on in the next couple of years. Next couple of months as we head into the election. And I just think we've had enough. When a long train of abuses, we've written nice stiff letters. Go on the Instagram page for the White House. Look how they get ratioed. Like 98-1 with 1 abstaining. I can math. So speak out while you can. This might be our last episode ever if the eclipse rolling through the night sky, the day sky, turning at night rather, and CERN gets activated and we get bounced into some other, who knows what happens. If this is my last show, I just want to thank you for watching. I want to ask you to join us in all the places. Support us at patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia if you would like. Let's stay connected and just be prepared in your life. Be a little bit more like Bruce Lee, like water, fluid. Be ready to just have your ducks in a row. Have your important stuff ready in case you got to make a decision in 2 minutes. Grab something and go. Be ready to do that. And just be prepared. Level up, be careful, be safe, get to know some more of your neighbors. And get engaged in some of these politics. The only thing it takes for bad people to succeed in this world is for the good people to stand by and do nothing. Say nothing. Well, it's like one of my favorite bands of all time. Say Anything. If you don't know the band Say Anything, their album Is a Real Boy is fantastic. Very sing-songy. Pop, punk, rock. Really great album. But say something while you still can. I have to think even in these crazy cities that the sane people outnumber the crazy kamikaze people. They just have to. And so if we can clean up this voting system, maybe we could see a 50-state avalanche for Trump. But in the meantime, we have to look into stories like people registering without ID, what kind of limitations, what types of checks and balances. God, I wish we'd been doing this for 3.5 years. We're coming up a few months away from the most important election in American history, and there's still a lot of questions, but you can clearly see what 3.5 years of this guy is going to get you. Go back, look at those 4 Trump years and ask, were you better off then? Did you like no foreign wars? Because I like that. That was pretty cool. Anyway, I digress. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today. I want to thank special guest Blake Walley for joining the program. You can follow him on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and his site is called The Next Level News, where the archive goes. My name is Brian Engelman. This is the Agree to Disagree show. Once again, on Truth Social, we are the New American Media. On Spotify, please subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree show. We need Ruth and Spotify. Also on Rumble, we need people. We're 40 or 50 away from being able to live stream. We got a live stream. So can you please jump on Rumble and find the New American Media and subscribe to us? On Telegram, that's our backup for Facebook, TNAM and TNAM Chat. Find us there. On X, we're at American_media_. On Facebook, our page is The New American Media. And our group is TNAMS, TNAM''S, The Agree to Disagree show. Instagram, The New American Media, and all of the other places. YouTube.com/@TheNewAmericanMedia and Odyssey, The New American Media. So link up, Patreon.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee or fund our operations. We like all of those as options. So, signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.